vaccine. It's like a 2 to 4-fold increase in the instances of myocarditis.
Yes, but you know what?
Hospitalization.
You know that there's an
COVID.
increased risk of myocarditis among that age cohort from getting COVID as well, which exceeds the risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. No. I don't think it's true that there's an increased risk of myocarditis from people catching COVID that are young versus increased risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
No, there is. There's both.
Tepek, thank you for the 5 get the subs, and the Trippy Ginger, thank you for the 10 get the subs.
Well, let's look that up because I don't think that's true. Myocarditis is more common after COVID-19 infection than vaccination. But is this with children?
Wait, no way, dude. What? That's crazy. Well, let's run that back again.
For young boys in particular,
exceeds the risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
I don't think that's true. I don't think it's true. No. I don't think it's true that there's an increased risk of myocarditis from people catching COVID that are young versus increased risk of myocarditis from the vaccine.
No, there is. There's both.
Well, let's look that up because I don't think that's true. Myocarditis is more common after COVID-19 infection than vaccination. But is this with children? With children is the issue.
Well, no, we were talking about 15-year-olds.
Well, we're talking about young children.
So yes,
12 to 17.
12 to 17, more likely to develop myocarditis with
That's
3
not
months
children.
of catching
Those are
COVID
men.
at a rate of 450.
Those are actually men. 12 to 17-year-old men. That's men. You're talking about men. Dude, look. The conversation that Joe Rogan is currently engaging in and the attitude that he is doing here shows something profoundly important, okay? This is no longer an open-minded person. An open-minded person is not faced with information that contradicts what they believe in, okay? And then gets into the defensive mode like this. He is literally trying to goalpost shift, like in real time. You are seeing the cogs, the wheels turning in his fucking head, trying to change the argument to a point where like he can maybe salvage it, okay? I've done it in the past as well. Sometimes I do it, okay? It's just like, it's a normal human thing to do. But the unfortunate reality is that Joe Rogan is completely in the wrong here, and that's precisely why he just keeps... like, he'll never get to this point again because he won't have Joshua Zepps on. He's just going to have, like, in retaliation to this, he's going to have, like, 8 fucking guests on that actually tell him that he's actually right and really smart. Okay?
The cases per million infection. This compares to 67 cases of myocarditis per million at the same time following their second dose of Pfizer.
Yeah, so you're about 8 times likelier to get myocarditis from getting COVID than from getting the vaccine.
That's interesting.
Now, that being
is
said,
not what I've read before, but also it's like...
Oh, wait. Now attack the source. Say that, like, I don't know, it's really divisive and, like, maybe some of these published studies are actually really sussy, you know? Attack the source. Incoming, dude. Because, like, it's always the same. There's different degrees of defense, right? Immediately. When you're caught, you fucking, move the goalpost as aggressively as you can. And if you can't move the goalpost aggressively, then you start, then you realize, like, oh, fuck, I might have fucked up. Then you have to attack the source and be like, well, I did the research and I saw something different. And actually, this research is, like, not great. There's a lot of, like, bias in the media, and there's a lot of bias in, like, journals and shit like that. That's why I get my, that's why I get my information from unbiased sources like, Facebook.com.
Even when we're reading these things, it's like, what are we getting this from? Was this from the
it's the
VAERS
New
report?
Scientist.
But even from the VAERS reports, when they report this stuff, it's like the amount of people that report, it's the underreporting.
VAERS has issued underreporting? Dude, you are gone, bro. You are fucking gone. The moment that you say VAERS, which is historically overreported, okay, not underreported, which has a unfortunate problem with people just engaging in mass hysteria and just straight up not comprehending that they are like people that just like overreport and like overwrite deaths and shit. It's fucking ridiculous.
Waking up to Joe Rogan hassle.
VAERS isn't scientific, it's literally raw data. Exactly. Oh my lord, dude. Joe Rogan followed it up by saying it's really hard to submit to VAERS. Yeah, dude, that's right. Wait, we need to watch this whole thing. Hit me with this. VAERS is a self-report system. You can literally be like, I died after taking the vaccine on VAERS, okay? Saying Rogan is moving the goalpost while you're currently moving the goalpost. Lamau, wait, what? How did I move the goalpost? I'm just straight up. You always check logs when someone says you move goalposts? Oh my God. I fucking hate you, dude. I hate these chatters, okay? We get it, bro. You're obsessed. You watch me every day, okay? It's cool. You're a stan. It's fine. Stop fucking using your stan knowledge against me, okay? Yes, I do that. I do a bunch of things, okay? I do a bunch of things. I am open with you. I'm honest with you. And you know my behaviors, okay? You know all of this stuff. Stop being fucking weird and using it and metagaming against me, okay? You fucking dick. Damn, you were getting read like a book today, getting rolled hard as fuck. I mean, yeah, of course, dude. You're in here. Like, it's like knowing the behavior of people that you live with, okay? You know. You fucking know I'm going to say certain shit. And I'm going to behave in a certain way because you see me every day. You watch me every day. It's just normal. It's a normal part of the process. Chat treating you like a real stepfather? Yes, I'm the father that stepped up, chatters. Remember that. Not the stepfather, but the father that stepped up. Better start acting right. R/Jerry post on this clip. Why can't he just admit he's wrong about this? He just won't. I'm right. I'm right about this, dude. I am the #1 Joe Rogan stan, okay? You know how chatters read me to filth earlier just now when they said, oh, you always check someone's logs when they say you move the goalpost? I am that for Joe Rogan. I've known about Joe Rogan for years. I used to consume his content for many, many years, okay? Non-fucking stop. I saw him as like a very cool individual that I wanted to be like, to have like his own media properties and like be independent and command a gigantic audience and just like do whatever the fuck you want, you know? When I was younger, I thought that was dope. And I still think that like in essence is dope. But I have the mug. I hung out with him for hours after one of his fucking shows. Like I've had conversations. I've had a conversation with him in the past. And I've also seen the fucking fall of Joe Rogan. So I have a lot. I have a lot of background in Joe Roganology. Okay.
Has Kona.
Like I've done the work. And what I have seen in Joe Rogan's behavior is this. There are certain things that he just like won't let go. Everything else, he'll say he's a dumbass. Everything else, he'll admit that he's a fucking idiot. And he'll move on and he'll change his attitudes. Okay. But there are certain things that he is like very aggressively he's always since day one been very aggressively like just super hard-headed on. Back in the day, it was smoking weed, okay? And he always would defend smoking weed, which is fine. That's not a bad thing, okay? I am, totally on board with that. Even if people push back on smoking weed, he would fight back. He would defend it. And there are certain things that like his own lived experience actually gives him a good understanding on. Like, I mean, now he's becoming more and more out of touch with the Spotify deal. But like before, he grew up not so wealthy, and like he recognizes that. And we get it, bro. You're a stan turned anti. No, I mean, I want Joe Rogan to be good. Okay. Yeah, and then trains people in sports is one where he was just like, no. But most people don't really care because they either A, think trans people are weird or don't care, or B, they also hate trans people beyond the people that are just like, I don't know anything about trans people. I don't give a shit. Okay? So when he went like super hard on fucking trans people in sports, like they didn't give a shit. Weed, most people are in support of, and he was right on that issue, so they didn't give a shit. But now the thing is like basically fucking
More money.
The thing is, like, the vaccines. He will just not give up on his wrong takes on the vaccines. He just will not. He will not back away from it. And he has plenty of sycophants who will go on a show and tell him he's right and tell him he's smart and how brilliant he is and how that's the appropriate way to fucking be a skeptic, even though he's not a skeptic at all. The irony is that, like, he's getting fed the misinformation hook, line, and sinker.
You know, like if you had a buddy who you thought was a bit too strict with their kid or something, or like, you know, you just sort of wanted to change his behavior in a certain way, and you were like, I think I can do this. I think I know how to talk to this person. I think the best solution is a collaboration with them. And then another buddy of yours goes, no, you have to say that your buddy is a child abuser, and until you admit that he's a child abuser, I'm not even going to have a conversation about this because your buddy is a child abuser. Let's insist. You'd be like, hang on.
What comparison is this?
This is what it feels like when Americans come and try to save the conversation that Australians are having with each other about these policies. So, like,
oh, that's fucking... Yeah, he's right, though. It's like right-wing Americans have decided that, like, Australia is Nazi Germany because they want to, like, hype up the anger that, like, some of the reactionary Aussies, the fucking bogans, for example, feel about these lockdown measures. Right? All right, let's fucking keep going. All right. So, as I was fucking saying, there's a bunch of bogans and some people that are fucking mad. They're piss mad, these fucking cunts. Right? They're mad about their fucking lockdowns, right? But ultimately, it's a tiny, tiny fraction of the community. It's not a fucking big deal. How about you see yourself out of Australia business, right? How about you fucking see yourself out of Australia business?
It's become a lot harder for people like me to go, let's look at the human rights trade-offs, let's look at the health trade-offs, let's try to assess what's reasonable and what's not reasonable, when you've got all this chatter coming from some of these alt-right people who are saying, like, literally...
Well, Jamie, Tim Pool's not alt-right. And Majid is not alt-right either.
No,
Neither one of those guys are alt-right.
No,
that's an unfair assessment.
I'm not saying Majid.
Okay, but you're using that pejorative to dismiss what they're saying.
Well,
like they might get really into these conspiracies, and you look at it on paper without the whole breadth of knowledge from the community, and you find out that these people are being relocated, and you do see those whatever you want to call them, camps, communities where the people have to stay on their porch. It's concerning to someone who lives in America. You would understand how you would think of Australia as being this wild, free place.
Yeah, totally.
And then you see that and you go, oh my God, they're reverting back to the way they were.
What the difference is that there are some people, and I sort of give Margaret a pass.
So wait, his defense of Tim Pool is that, like, what? Tim Pool is not alt-right, but he's a conspiracy theorist? Is Joe Rogan talking to a fucking Australian dude and being like, actually, Tim Pool knows more about Australia than you do? I mean, like, you can, and that's technically a reality. You know, there's some, like, dumbass Aussies, okay? But ultimately, it's not something that really flies in the Joe Rogan Experience fan base. Like, usually they do absolutely get upset at that. And will, in any other circumstance, I'd be like, really? It's a classic fucking reactionary argument. Like, really? The lived experience of a black person? If there's like a black conservative, conservatives love fucking saying, like, you know, that person's lived experience is more important.
On this, because I know him well enough to sort of think that he must just be sort of, you know, not doing enough fact checking. But there are some other people like Tim who I feel like I and people like Claire Lehman at Quillette, who's the editor of Quillette, have done a lot of work, like pointing out the facts, and then it doesn't go.
Okay, this guy sucks too, by the way. I mean, he's literally bringing up Claire Lehman. I mean, of course, he's on the Joe Rogan Experience, so I don't know why the fuck I thought he would be an honest broker here. Jesus Christ. Quillette. Literal prophrenology. Sorry. Craniology, Quillette. Craniology is not phrenology. It's actually very good. More like Joe Bogan. That's right. Joe Rogan, more like Joe Bogan. Am I right? That's a good one, mate. That's a good one, mate. As good as a fucking VB long neck on a smoko.
Pogo.
I think he's saying those people are also alt-right.
go anywhere. It's like unless you call them concentration camps and accept that Australia is on a path to become a fascist authoritarian dictatorship, there's nothing to even talk about.
I don't think
Josh
he's having
Zeb?
conversations with anybody who's actually in Australia, unfortunately.
Well, I've invited him on my podcast and he doesn't come on. Like he and I have exchanged, terse words on Twitter where I'm like, mate, you're not helping, and he's like, it's a concentration camp. That's just that you don't admit it. So it's more the tone of
That's his voice on Twitter.
That's his voice on Twitter.
You know what I reckon?
Joe, vaccines have a lot of dangerous side effects. Shop, the most dangerous. The booster's killing my grandma. Joe, Brendan, your grandma should get the vaccine. She's pretty old. I never saw old people shouldn't get it. Shop, she's the oldest. I should give it to every old person. Brain dead. Shop said the booster's killing his grandma with 100% seriousness. Joe, it's not a vaccine. It's gene therapy. The spike proteins. Some would say it's the spikiest. Dude, I love the Brendan Schaub loves sucking Joe's toes memes. It's so funny.
15 people.
Right.
Joe Rogan on Maddie de Garay and suppression of vaccine adverse events.
Side effects of the
Yeah,
vaccine.
both men and women, menstrual issues,
strokes, neurological disorders,
What-
chronic
now,
fatigue.
So what's a neurological disorder? Just
Or
out
your
of
whole
curiosity.
body shaking?
Jesus.
Yeah, and you can't do anything about
Yeah.
it. Like weird ones, man. The thing is, when you're vaccinating, this to be fair, you're vaccinating hundreds of millions of people in this country alone. You're going to get adverse side effects on any medication.
Right.
The thing is, if you look at only that group, like if you vaccinate 100 million people, they think that the adverse side effects, and they don't really know because the VAERS report, it's very underreported, and it's hard to see whether or not it's.
Joe Rogan needs to fucking watch that video of that lady who's like, I got this crazy neurological disorder after I got the vaccine where I can only walk backwards and have these like fucking dumbass accents that I do all the time. Like he needs to watch that shit and then maybe it'll fucking hit him in the head that like he's being duped by dummies.
100% accurate. I don't know how much they investigate each individual one.
Right.
Like I feel like Joe Rogan watched that video and only saw the first half and not the second half when they like actually make a fool of her when they expose her for faking it. You know what I mean?
But if you they seem to think that at a low number, like a conservative number, it's like 1 per 1,000. So if you vaccinate 1 million people, you're going to have a lot of people that have adverse side effects. You vaccinate 100 people, you're going to have a lot. So this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah. And that doesn't get any play.
It doesn't. They suppress it. There was a kid on TikTok that had myocarditis, and he was a high school kid, like an athlete, and he was in the hospital. And it got millions and millions of plays. They removed it from TikTok because it doesn't fit the narrative. Like, that's what's fucked.
That's really an indication of a much larger problem.
Yes.
Yeah,
the problem is
that
they
is
think
true.
they're doing good.
I mean, a
think
13-year-old got it and died a day later.
Quite a few.
There's a few kids that unfortunately, have passed away.
Yes. I have a friend, and one of his good friend's daughter got it. She was 14 years old and just immediately respiratory failure. They put her in the ICU. She's fucked. There was one of the girls in the trials that was 13 years old. It's confined to a wheelchair
for the rest of her life.
And
and you can't sue. Not that suing would matter when it's your child.
No, you can't. That's part of what's going on. The emergency use authorization. It exempts them from any. And you're talking about these companies that have always historically lied about adverse side effects in order to make profit. They've done it with Vioxx. They've done it with a bunch of other drugs in the past. Pfizer's like one.
On Brendan Shaw podcast show, they bring up Ethan calling him out on Twitter. I'm sure they suck his ass. Or Joe's ass. Oh my God, dude. It's great, dude. It's great. If you want to fucking watch like some old dude constantly like get duped by weird fucking anecdotes that he sees on his like Facebook timeline or some shit, then yes, the Joe Rogan experience is for you. He's like, oh, a buddy of mine got denied the vaccine because he's a fucking white. A buddy of mine got denied monoclonal antibodies because he's white. Buddy of mine got this. Buddy of mine that. Like, he's always been the buddy of mine, Andy, but back in the day, his buddies were just constantly victims of divorce court. And that was fun, okay? He would constantly fucking talk about how all of his buddies of his were, victims to harlots in divorce court. And that was it. That's the most, that was the extent of it. It wasn't like all my buddies are fucking dying of the vaccine injuries that they got.